Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello there, welcome along to Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, SMEs and business owners. Now, joining me in the studio today is Anne Parker. She's from the Synergy Health Company. Now, the Synergy Health Company offer a range of products direct to the end user for their network of agents and also their distributors. Anne, it's lovely to have you with us on the program today. For those people who don't know anything about the Synergy Health Company, but more importantly you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, well, I help people get healthy and stay healthy. I got involved with these products about 10 years ago. I was diagnosed as having I think about the highest blood pressure my general practice had ever seen. And I'd gone from normal blood pressure and thought I was quite healthy to being very close to dying. And I was immediately put on maximum medication. It brought it down a little bit, but it was nowhere near in the safe region. So I was told to go home and cross my fingers. There was nothing more that could be done for me, and I really could just hope for the best.
So how did you feel when that was going on? Because people talk about blood pressure, they say it's a silent killer, but here you are talking to your GP and he's turning around and saying, listen, if you don't lie down and take it easy, girl, you've got serious problems. That must have put you and your family in a terrible position.
I was very frightened. I'm not going to deny it. I didn't know very much about blood pressure. It's not something I'd ever worried about, taken no notice of, because it had always been absolutely normal. I had no idea why it suddenly had become, off any scale. And during the week I lived on my own. My husband worked away, so every night I went to bed pretty unsure whether I was going to wake up the next morning or I was going to suffer a major heart attack or stroke. So yes, it was very, very scary indeed. And I realised that I had to try and do something for myself because the medical profession had done what they could and it wasn't enough.
Now this is where you stumbled across this opportunity really for you, wasn't it?
Yes.
And the business that you found yourself getting into in the end.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, the Synergy Health Company.
Okay.
Who are they and what are they all about?
So I'd always been interested in supplements and I'd always believed in supplementing a good diet. And I thought, I did eat a good diet. Not perfect, but I did eat a good diet. I didn't eat rubbish and I cooked most of my own food. But what I didn't like about supplements was I don't physically like taking tablets. My husband went to see a local physiotherapist that I know of, and I knew her reputation. I knew she was considered a perfectionist, and came back with a leaflet for Synergy products. And I looked at them, and most of them were liquid, and I thought, oh, this suits me. So
Is it just the thing about taking tablets that you don't like?
Yeah, it's not I can't do it, I just don't always like them, and particularly in the morning. And I'd buy a load of supplements and I'd put them in the cupboard and I go to look at them and think, oh no, I can't face it, so I put them away. Then they go out of date and then I'd throw them away, wait a little bit longer and go and buy them all again. So it was a very expensive
You're fantastic. I bet they all love you down there at the local pharmacy.
Waste of money. So I phoned up and asked if I could go and talk about this range of products. And I started to take them. So we have a system called the Vital 3, and that includes the product that I believe saved my life and the reason that I'm still here today, and the reason I don't worry about my blood pressure anymore. And that is a product called Pro RG9 Plus, and that is an L-arginine supplement. You take it and L-arginine converts into nitric oxide in the body. Nitric oxide is known as the miracle molecule, and it is the second most researched molecule after DNA. And my doctor goes, oh, well, there's no evidence. And I say, well, actually, I've got enough evidence myself because I've seen what it's done for me, and I've seen what it's done for many, many other people. And there are 100,000 different research papers available But a lot of people in the medical profession don't understand what it does. And what it does is nitric oxide, which we've all got in our body, otherwise we would be dead. As we get past about 20, the amount that we've got reduces. And so our arteries start to fur up. So you've heard of a condition, hardening of the arteries. So what L-arginine does, and then nitric oxide, is it basically spring cleans the walls of your arteries. It cleans up the endothelium, which is like the wallpaper that lines the inside of your arteries, and it keeps your arteries supple, and it keeps them elastic, and it keeps them young. And there is a saying, you're only as young as your arteries.
All right, that must mean I'm about 140 then.
I don't know, I can't tell just from sitting here. But if you look after your arteries, because we have something like 60,000 miles of blood vessels in our body.
Wow.
And our blood does about 12,000 miles a day around our bodies.
So there you were in a situation where you had extremely acute high blood pressure.
Yes.
Now, normally the doctors would prescribe particular drugs. I mean, I'm on a particular drug to lower my blood pressure. I know my director today, Gordon, he's on a bucket full of drugs each and every day to control his blood pressure, just to bring him down to just above normal, let alone getting to normal. But for you were in a very acute position where it was quite dangerous. So
Yes.
how long did the process take for your blood pressure to normalise and to drop? And was it attributed completely to the treatment or to the synergy drug that you were taking?
In my opinion, yes. I mean, the medication that I was given did reduce my blood pressure, but it still wasn't to a safe limit. And I do often think, I'm not trying to knock medicines and the medical profession, but often things like blood pressure medication can be seen as a sticking plaster. And it's often described to me, if you were driving along and the light came on in your car saying you needed more oil, would you go home and put more oil in your car, or would you take the bulb out? And medication often is equivalent
He's
to
saying,
taking
take the bulb out.
is equivalent to taking the bulb out. I never tell people to stop their medication. That's not my job. I'm not a doctor. But I do find in time, and when I say time, when we do a show, we do a health show, we can drop people's blood pressure in an hour by about 40%.
So, I mean, these are big claims for a particular drug or for a particular product that you're offering there. And, of course, you must come up against the skeptics as well. How are you marketing this and how do you sell this? Because this is network marketing, isn't it, effectively,
yes, this
what
is
you're
a
looking
network
at?
marketing
So
company.
you were in procurement when you started.
Yes.
That was your real job in inverted
Yes.
commas. You left that. You found yourself in this position where the blood pressure was all over the place. What do you think caused that? Was that a stress-related thing? Was it? Was it just you were very hyper? What was it?
I don't know really. I do not know, and that's what was frustrating. I could never really find out. Certainly the day I had my blood pressure taken, where there were 4 blood pressure machines on the desk in the doctor's surgery, and doctors were coming out of their own surgeries to come and have a look at me. That's when I realised that something was very seriously wrong.
You're always in trouble when there are 2 doctors in the room.
Oh, there were
isn't
4
it?
in the room.
If there's
that
4
day.
in the room, then that's really going to be bad news,
all
isn't it?
scratching their heads going, it's amazing. And I did actually feel okay. So you're absolutely right about being a silent killer. There will be about 400-500 people today in Britain that will fall down with a heart attack and about 600 with a stroke. That's just today in this country. And about 450 of them will die, and a lot of them won't even know they've got a problem.
That is just absolutely terrifying.
And that is a horrifying statistic.
So, what was your initial approach then when it came to the network marketing? When you found out about this, I mean, did you see it as an opportunity? Was it something you were looking to actively do? Did you just think, well, look, this is a really good idea, I'd like to share it with everybody?
I'd already dabbled in network marketing, so I knew the concept, I knew what it was about.
Because a lot of people turn their nose up at it sometimes.
Absolutely, and sometimes with good reason. But network marketing, it isn't for everybody, but if it suits you, then can be absolutely fantastic, and the rewards can be amazing, but they are not get-rich-quick schemes. And anybody who tells you they are is being disingenuous, because they're not.
You've got to work damn hard.
You've got to work, and it takes effort and time. And the people in this country who are making a lot of money either have very good products, they're very, very good at what they do, or they've been doing it consistently for a long period of time. So the benefits of network marketing are you're your own boss. So if I don't want to work for the next month, nobody tells me I have to. I don't have to do it. I can do what I want within the parameters the company sets down. I have no sales targets. If I don't sell anything between now and next Christmas, nobody's going to say anything to me, but I won't make any money. So you get out of it what you put into it. There is a lot of support and there is a lot of help. You're not just on your own. And it's important that you choose the right company with the right culture and the right products. It's got to be something that interests you. And these health products really interested me, because if I won't use it, I won't sell it. I'm not a natural salesperson. I'm not as trained in sales, other than what I do with Synergy, but I wasn't in sales in my corporate life. So it is really about choosing the right business and making sure that they're financially sound.
When you looked at it, what was your criteria? What was on your tick list when you were looking at this particular product range? Because it sounds like that you were an absolute firm believer in the benefits that the product can actually bring and give to people who take it on. I mean, what are you looking for? Are you looking for customers, or are you looking for distributors? Or are you looking for people that you can help?
Okay, I'm looking for both, and that could be customers and distributors, because I can help those in maybe different ways. People have to be a product of the product, so I want people who will take the product. I take all our products every day, and I always will do. Even if I decide in a few years' time I don't want to do this business anymore, I will still continue to take the product. Pro RG9 Plus keeps me alive on a daily basis. I'm absolutely convinced of it. So in the past I've worked with customers on a one-to-one basis, but more and more now I'm looking to work with companies who are starting to appreciate that if they have healthy employees, they're happier, they've got more energy, they're therefore more productive. And I'm particularly looking for health professionals in the private field, because you can't sell to your patients in the NHS. Antenatal clinics, and I'll explain a bit about that later. Private doctors, physiotherapists, people in the periphery of the NHS, if you like, people who support those services, and also people in the fitness industry, so people who own their own gyms or who are personal trainers, people who really want to help their clients achieve metabolic function.
All right, listen, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to talk about the products as well. We're also going to talk about how Anne goes about marketing these particular products. Maybe it's something that you would be interested in yourself, and obviously we'll give you all the details. If you go to our website, you'll also get contact details for Anne as well on the page for this particular program. There are show notes with this particular show. So it's really interesting. So if it's something that's interested you in the past, and we're on so many different levels on this particular program, maybe you suffer from high blood pressure, and what we're saying is, of course, we've got to be very clear that we're not advocating any particular product as far as Business Connections Live is concerned, but what we are saying is it's something perhaps that you should be investigating. Maybe it's something well worth a conversation with Anne about. She is, I suppose, she's living walking proof in her opinion of the effectiveness of these particular treatments as well. And we've got to be very careful as well whether we call them treatments, drugs or whatever. So, you know, we'll be as careful as we can, but they are the caveats that we must put on this particular edition of Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Anne Parker from the Synergy Health Company. More from Anne in just a few moments' time. You're watching Business Connections Live. It's great to have your company as always. We're live here. It is the first programme of 2020. Very strange to be saying that. Have you had to write it down anywhere? I did see in the press the other day that one of the things that you shouldn't do is just abbreviate it to 20. What you need to be doing is writing out the year in full, because unscrupulous people will come along there and they can add either an 18, a 19, a 17 or whatever to the end of it if you just put the 20 down. So for 1 year and for 1 year only, write the year out in full, 2020, when it comes to any important documents, and it just prevents anything unforeseen happening in the future. Let's go back a year then, shall we? That's a strange thing to say. Let's go back a year to the last programme of 2019. We had Sarah Ross. She was on the programme and we were talking about all sorts of different things, but the thing we were talking about more importantly were reasons to breathe. It seems that for the last couple of programmes we've had this whole thing about personal wellness. The whole industry of well-being is growing. What you eat, what you put into your mouth, how you look after yourself. But there's been a very, very high awareness of mental well-being. And that's what we were talking about on this particular edition of Business Connections Live. Just to remind you what happened on last year's programme, here are the highlights from Business Connections Live with Sarah Ross. Now, today's show, we're going to be discussing the latest on how to breathe through burnout. We've all suffered it, perhaps, maybe in our lives, particularly in our business lives. You think, you get employed to do a 40-hour week and you find yourself doing an 80-hour week. Well, joining me in the studio today is Sarah Ross. She's the UK's #1 burnout expert.
I think the biggest symptom is that people withdraw from life. They start to close off to their friends, their family, socially, and then there's all the other little triggers that individually we might not think about. So I'm not sleeping properly, I'm not eating properly, I'm always grabbing coffee, energy foods, junk food, but together they are having an impact on your body. It's the body's inability to deal with stress. The body is starting to produce stress hormones. The body is then flooded with cortisol and then can't produce the hormones that you need when you smile, when you laugh, because you're just not in a very positive place. And the impact of always being in cortisol or having that stress hormone in your body is that your body stops healing. Our social media culture, our continually being connected culture, has a lot to answer for the increase in mental health issues, in burnout, in that we are continually connected. So May 2019, when the World Health Organization announced that burnout would be listed as a medical phenomenon, that's when conversations started to change. The process is now in place that people will be able to get medically funded treatment. So just as they would for a broken leg or to go and see a psychiatrist, for instance, have counselling, they will be able to get help. And this is very much a US model, not how we have it here in the NHS, because we would be able to get help on the NHS for stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, even now. But that has triggered people actually talking about it and calling it burnout. I think there is a lack of understanding around what burnout really is doing to somebody versus depression. The signs of depression are all there when you're burning out. You're not feeling yourself. I mean, I was depressed and burnt out. But taking antidepressants would have made me feel better. So BREATHE is actually an acronym of the things you can easily do for yourself that will alleviate some of the symptoms of burnout. And by following those 7 letters, it will help your body to reset back to the natural processes of healing and bringing you back to where you are then in a position to make decisions about your future. B is for be present. We get so hung up on what's going to happen tomorrow, what happened yesterday, and we forget to actually be in the moment. R is to rest. So your body does need sleep or rest every single day. E is exercise. Your body also needs you to move. So all of those happy hormones that we talked about, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, can all be triggered by just moving. A is then ask for help. That was the biggest thing for me. Nobody knew what was going on in my life. Nobody knew that I had chosen that date. And yet that Christmas Eve, I knew that I had to ask for help. So the T is actually take time and actually look at things in your life. So, you know, we talk about, are you on your calendar? Take your calendar or take a piece of paper and go and mark it 24 hours down one side and the days across the week. And then take 3 coloured pens and mark work, sleep and social. H is to be happy. So give yourself 2 minutes every day to begin with where you actually smile or laugh like a 2-year-old child. And that leads us to the last E, which is actually to engage with people. And that's socially, so not pulling back. I'm Sarah Ross, I'm the founder of Your Reason to Breathe, where we help business owners, entrepreneurs and corporations reset, recharge and thrive after burnout. I work with those organisations to actually reset people's lives, reset the expectations, and then we look to see what the thrive is. It doesn't mean becoming an entrepreneur for everybody. All your employees will not leave because you suddenly make them feel better, but it is about giving them the opportunity to feel good, whether they are at home or in the office, and making sure that life is in balance. What I say to all of my clients at the end of the session is trust your journey, just don't forget to breathe.
Sarah Ross there on Business Connections Live last week, a fantastic programme, or last year on Business Connections Live. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, actually, this is a great opportunity to get my message out there. Maybe you're sending out newsletters and things like that to your client base at the moment, or you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit more interactive, maybe going to get people talking about you that you want to post on LinkedIn. Well, actually, something like coming on this program will give you all the material that you need to do that. So a really good idea to do that. Turn your viewers or your readers into viewers is what we say here at Business Connections Live, and it's dead easy. If you'd like to find out more details about doing that, you can very simply get in touch with us here at the studio. Just drop us an email to the studio at businessconnectionslive.com. That's the quickest way of doing it, and that way you don't have to talk to anybody. But if you're brave, why didn't you pick the phone up? I think your New Year's resolution this year should be pick the phone up and talk to people. It's the one thing that we all in business don't do enough. Picking the phone up, talking to somebody has got to be the best way. The easiest way of doing that to contact us is 01784 256 777. Don't forget, you can also follow our stream of consciousness on Twitter at BCLTv. You can watch the programme live and you can comment on it on our Facebook page, of course, on Facebook. LinkedIn, of course, the big new thing that we're using at the moment, LinkedIn Live. We find the interaction with LinkedIn Live is absolutely phenomenal. It knocks, in our opinion, YouTube into a cocked hat, particularly for the kind of programs that we're doing at the moment. So go to the LinkedIn profile. It's my personal LinkedIn profile that you've got to find. So look for Steve Hyland on LinkedIn, link in with me, and then you can watch the show live. You'll be notified each and every week, and you can leave messages as well if you wish, and also questions for our guests, or perhaps you can be a guest on the program yourself. But the best place to go with 282 programs is to our website at businessconnectionslive.com. You're watching Business Connections Live. Anne Parker is my guest. She's from the Synergy Health Company, and we're talking about the products that she sells direct to the end user, and also to people who want to network or act as agents and distributors for the range of products. Let's talk about some of the products, Anne. And
Okay.
Where do we start? Because I've shared with you that 6 years ago I'm one of the 50% survivors from bowel cancer. So I was diagnosed with bowel cancer, and I've become very, very aware of what my bowels, my gut and everything like that, my digestive system is doing. That seems to be quite an intrinsic part of your product range.
It is, and if you're tuned into it, it is on the news just about every week. So we do a what we call the Purify program. It's a 21-day program. What it does really is it resets your microbiome. Now, a lot of people haven't heard of the microbiome. So we have about 100 trillion cells in our body, and anything between 1 and 10% of those only contain the human DNA. The rest, the either 99% have got no human DNA in them. So, and I'm a bit hazy about which figure it is, because this is absolutely new research. So you can read one book or one magazine, it'll tell you one thing, and you can read another and it'll tell you something else.
I think 90% of our DNA that actually is the same as a banana's.
Probably, yes. I don't know. Yes.
Very appealing. Thank you very much.
But the rest of us is made up of this ecosystem called your microbiome, and that is made up of bacteria, microorganisms and fungi, and there are literally tens of thousands of species.
Now, there's a lot of research going into this, because they reckon that this microculture that is taking place inside of our stomachs contributes a lot to people gaining weight, losing weight. The whole metabolism is nearly geared around what is taking place in the gut. And there's been some experimentation, there's been some results done where people will take other people's gut biosystem and it'll be injected or whatever into their gut biosystem.
Yes.
Is that fundamentally what you're doing here, or is it a different approach to the same issue?
No, we're not implanting anything into anybody.
No.
This is all plant, food-based products. It's all manufactured to pharmaceutical standards, and what we have is a probiotic, a general high-dose probiotic that people would take, and that has proven to make it through the stomach acid, because a lot of products won't, and then they won't ever reach the part of your gut where they really are required.
So we see these in the supermarket, don't we, where we see the yogurts and things like that. So sometimes they don't make it to the gut.
A lot of them don't, and even some of those that do actually have a corresponding amount of sugar, and sugar is one of the things that the gut doesn't like. So your microbiome does not like sugar. It doesn't like gluten, it doesn't like alcohol, it doesn't like dairy. There's a whole range of different conditions that really do upset it. So pesticides, stress, chemotherapy, etc., really disrupt your gut health. A 10-day course of antibiotics will wipe out a third of your microbiome.
Blimey. Another good reason for not to be taking antibiotics.
Absolutely. I know sometimes they're absolutely essential, so please, I'm not saying to people don't ever take antibiotics. That's not my job. But don't take them unless you really have to. So I have to really need them before I will take them. If I do need to take them, then I will on my doctor's advice. But I'm not the sort of person who's running into the doctor every 5 minutes going, I want some antibiotics. So it is very important. It is very important that you, populate your gut with these microbes, and that you look after them and that you feed them. So to populate them, you need something that's fermented, and you need the microbes in the first place. And a very easy way to do this, and I don't sell this, you can buy it in the supermarket, is to take a tablespoon of organic apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, so that's the fermented starter, which could be 200 or 300 years old, in a small bottle of water every day, and that will help with your gut. But then you've got to feed your gut, so you've got to feed it with a prebiotic. So you'll have heard pre and probiotics.
What is the difference? What's the difference between the two?
So if you think the probiotic is like the seed you would throw to start a lawn, so it's like the grass seed. The prebiotic is what you come along and you use as a fertiliser to help the seed grow. So prebiotic is basically the food for the probiotic.
Got you.
So simply. And the best prebiotic is a substance called inulin, and it's an insoluble fibre, and that's what the microbes like to eat. That's what they like to live on. And
what kind of results do people get who, shall we say, you said it's a 21-day course in this particular product. What kind of results do people see? What will be the outcome? Will they have more energy? Will they feel better about themselves? Will they put weight on? Will they lose weight? Will they become more attractive to the opposite sex? You know, what?
I can't make that guarantee, but people do feel happier, because your gut health determines your mental health and your brain and your memory and your hormones and your emotions. And for every signal that goes from the brain to the gut, another 9 go from the gut to the brain. So the gut is running the show. And your gut is from your mouth literally to your bottom, and it's about 30 feet. So it's quite a substantial organ.
Well, the thing that's also interesting, and this is purely because of where I was with my personal health, the cells that surround the bowel and places like that within your body. I mean, here we are, a business program, and look what we're talking about. But they are very, very similar to our brain, to our cells in our brain.
Yes,
so that people call it the second brain.
They do.
Because it actually is.
It's made of the same tissue.
It's made of the same tissues, which is fascinating.
It is.
You know, we tend to think of everything from below the neck as not really having any real sort of thought, but actually it's very important. It knows what it's doing itself, doesn't it?
Yes. So how this programme will make you feel. You won't feel hungry on it, for a start. You will feel that you've got more energy. The first few days you might feel a little bit sluggish as you start to detox, but after about day 4 or 5, you've started to eliminate unhealthy items from your diet. You started to populate your gut properly. You started to feed your gut properly, and you feel happier. You have more energy, and yes, you do lose weight. Now, this is not designed as a weight loss program, but when they did the tests, they took 4 sets of identical twins, and in each set was a very slim twin and an obese twin, and they took 4 sets of genetically identical mice from the same litter, and they implanted the microbiome from each twin into one of the mice. And in each of the 4 cases, the mouse, and these mice were fed the same, and they were allowed to exercise the same amount of minutes per day. In each case, the mouse that was given the microbiome from the slim twin stayed slim. And in each case, the mouse that had the microbiome from the obese twin ballooned in weight.
So it's really interesting, and of course this research has been carried out, a lot of research in the States around this as well.
Yes.
So this is really cutting edge kind of stuff, but here we are with a product that is actually can aid and help this.
Yes, there isn't a strand of medicine today that is not looking at the effect the microbiome has.
Wow.
And do you know what is really sad and quite depressing is that 2,000 years ago, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said all disease begins in the gut. And it's only really in the last few years that the medical profession is really taking that seriously and looking at it properly.
When you're talking at networking events and you're explaining all this, you actually have a number of pillars that you refer to when it comes to the way that for our own well-being.
Yes.
Would you mind, can we talk about that in just a moment?
Yes, certainly.
We'll talk about that in just a second here. My guest on today's show is Anne Parker. She's from the Synergy Health Company, and we're talking about a range of products direct to the end user and also to a network of agents and distributors as well. More to come from Anne in just a few moments' time. We'll also have a look at their website too to find out a little bit more about the Synergy Health Company, and perhaps maybe it's something that quite interests you. And maybe you're interested in network marketing. I know a number of people who do this. They see it as an ideal way of either supplementing or just completely going at it 100% and it being their main income for their own business. And as Anne alluded to earlier on, the thing about it is you do as much or as little as you want to do. And if you want to have a successful business, then you just work a little bit harder at it. And if you just want something that's a bit of pin money, then you kind of need to do it a little bit of part-time. But fascinating insight into this. We're going to talk a little bit more about how Anne talks to individuals when she goes to networking events in just a few moments' time on this edition of Business Connections Live. You're watching Business Connections Live. Let's go back to a previous programme. This time we're going to be talking about something else, and it seems at the moment, because it's the beginning of the new year, everybody's making New Year's resolutions. We're going to talk about how to minimise stress and increase productivity. Over the last couple of weeks, perhaps maybe you didn't go back into work. You took the full 2 weeks off, and here we are on a Monday. You're feeling, and maybe you're watching on a catch-up on this particular programme, but you felt that over the holidays, you felt you relaxed. You felt you got into the swing of things. You felt, you didn't feel, you were sleeping better. You were laughing more. You were going out and you were exercising perhaps a little bit more. You just felt in a better place. But now you're back at work and all the normal feelings come back. That tightness in the chest that you sometimes get. The working excessively long hours and not getting any reward for it. The stress of working with other people. The endless emails that come in and being switched on all the time in this switched on era that we're in. We were talking to Sarah Alexander. She's on Business Connections Live 245, going back to December 2018, in fact. And the program was how to minimise stress and increase productivity. We talked about how you minimise the stress, how you become more calm, and how you understand the psychology of what's taking place in your mind and in your brain. And let's face it, we're all busy. We're caught up in a busy world. So Sarah kind of stepped back for a moment and she gave us some of the clues that we needed to reflect on how we should be a little bit calmer, a little bit more mindful in our lives to reduce that stress. With the key takeaways, here's Sarah Alexander.
I'm Sarah Alexander. My business is Coaching Magnificence, and I'm based in Godalming in Surrey, working with business owners, senior directors and their teams to help them manage stress and be more productive. And my first takeaway is to really take control of your time. What things in your schedule can you influence so that you have just a little feeling of greater control of your schedule and your time? Take control of your energy by eating well, exercising, and also take control of your mind by being aware of what's going on in your mind, the negative self-talk you might have, perhaps some negative beliefs you might be holding about yourself and your own ability, and flip them round into something positive. And I would say be mindful of the fact that you cannot work hard and fast all day. You can work for 90 minutes productively and effectively, but then both you and your prefrontal cortex, that thinking, logical part of your brain, need 15-20 minutes of recovery time to then come back and do another 90 minutes of effective working. And I think my last point is to really establish as many positive routines as you can. The part of our brain that stores our routines is called the basal ganglia. And the more we can have good routines established and something that we do every day without focusing, without thinking about them, without having to make ourselves do them, the easier our life becomes. And very often the difference between successful people and those that are less successful is successful people just have a host of really good routines that support their success. So I wish you luck with it.
I met up with Sarah a couple of weeks back. She was in Guildford. We popped into her there. We were at a networking event, actually, I think for the Surrey Chamber of Commerce. And we popped into a particular event and we met her there. Lovely to see her again. If you want to watch the entire programme, just go to the website, businessconnectionslive.com, and it's programme Business Connections Live number 245, How to Minimise Stress and Increase Productivity. Just go to the website or just put Sarah's name in, Sarah Alexander, and she'll come up in the search. So easy to do. And that was went out on the 3rd of December 2018. Anne Parker's my guest on today's show. She represents the Synergy Health Company. The Synergy Health Company offer a range of products. We've already heard about the ones that will actually will help your gut. There are others, obviously the blood pressure one, which we talked about. When you go and to the networking events, what's the question that comes up the most? Because obviously you're standing there and this is business to business now that we're talking about.
Yes.
What do the people at the networking events say to you?
Mainly people want to know what's different about Synergy products because there are numerous ranges of health supplements. They're everywhere. They're in the Sunday supplements, they're on the high street, they're in the supermarkets, they're everywhere you look. So, and my products are very expensive because they are top quality. And they're organic and they're manufactured in-house, and that is very important because in the UK only about 15% of health products are actually manufactured in-house, so the companies don't actually have ultimate control of what goes in them.
So really what they're doing, they're bringing pills in and repackaging them, are they?
They're either doing that or they're just getting a manufacturer to do the whole process for them. And certainly in the States, and a recent Which report showed that a lot of health products don't contain in the jar, in the capsule, what it says on the label.
Really?
Yes, in fact, some very, very well-known companies have been prosecuted quite recently. Didn't even have the main herb, wasn't in the product at all. It was just full of rice powder.
That is just
It's
dreadful,
shocking.
isn't it?
Yes,
It's
it is
absolutely
shocking. It is
We've got the website here. This is the Synergy. 1999 they were set up and have been going since then.
20 odd years, yes.
20 odd years, and you can see here that they're talking about live life optimize, skincare systems, gives energy back. A little bit about who they are. There's a full blog that goes on there about what they're all about. So it's interesting to see. These are the places you should look. So which is the biggest seller here in the UK? Because this is all the different products that here we've got Microbloom, we've got Trillium, Body Prime, E9, Mystify.
Okay.
Which one should I look at?
The microbiome is where we would always start every health programme, which we've just talked about, the 21-day programme. And there are follow-up products which you can buy to carry on, because it's one thing resetting the health of your microbiome, but it is very easy to put that out of kilter again. So you really need to continue with a pared down. You don't need to take quite so many supplements and you don't need to take so much of them, but you do need to continue to keep your gut healthy. And Pro RG9 Plus, the product that I think keeps me alive, that is one of our best sellers.
Pro RD9.
Pro RG9 Plus.
Oh, there it is. Found it. I've got it. I'm there. I'm with you. There we go.
So if you take this product, for example, every single batch of raw material that comes in is tested, and every single batch of finished product is tested. That particular product is tested, it goes through 263 tests, and it is tested to the trillionth part. And these sort of standards are just about unheard of in nutritional supplements. They're all manufactured to pharmaceutical standards. Synergy can actually detect one drop of pesticide in the equivalent of 25 Olympic swimming pools.
Wow.
So that just puts the quality of these products on a different level.
When you're standing in front of when you go to networking events and you're telling people about this, and they say, okay, so what makes yours different from everybody else's, and you tell them this story. But the thing that strikes me about you when I talk to you, it's yes, you have a product range, but you seem to also be advising on nearly a lifestyle change, because you refer back to the core things that we all need to be doing in life. You mentioned to me earlier on that there are a number of pillars that you refer back to, and of course what these do is they complement those pillars. Just go through that kind of area for us. Right.
So when I do talks on health in general, where I'm not standing up trying to promote a particular range of products, and I try and help people with their health. Supplements is only a part of that. So the key part of that would be a healthy diet, good nutrition. And there is so much out there now about what good nutrition looks like. Yes, some of it's confusing and some of it changes, but it really is a balanced diet that you prepare yourself. You can't, if you're making your own food, in the main, you're not going to go too far wrong. So stay away from pre-packaged carbohydrate fat-dense foods that have usually got a lot of salt and sugar in. In this country now, 50% of all food consumed is pre-prepared. And that is quite an indictment, I think, on us. And
I think we've got a chicken sandwich for you outside afterwards. That's been pre-prepared.
Okay, well, that's probably not the worst thing you can eat, but there's a lot of processed food. In America, it's now 70% of all food consumed is processed food. So try and prepare your own food. Try and make at least half of what you eat be fruit and vegetables, particularly vegetables. So 5 a day is your absolute minimum. It should be more like 10 to 15 a day, and I know that's hard. So plenty of water and high quality protein.
What about other areas? Because we talked there, we had Sarah Alexander talking about stress and that. And of course, that relates back to getting a good night's rest as well.
Yes,
You've already
yes,
mentioned about the fact that a single glass of alcohol will actually disrupt your sleep pattern.
That's right.
How important then is something like sleep?
Sleep is critical. When we sleep, we renew, our cells renew, our metabolism's boosted, we get rested. So we've all done it. I've done it. You've had too much to drink, you've gone to bed, you've conked out, you've slept like a log, you wake up, you don't feel great, but you think, gosh, I've had 10 hours solid sleep. But you might have been asleep, but you haven't had quality rested sleep. So that's the deep sleep, and that's what you need to repair your cells. That's what we need. And even one glass of alcohol, I'm afraid, will disrupt that sleep pattern.
That's it.
Sorry to break that to everybody.
Yeah.
And again, like anything else, I like a glass of wine, but it's got to be in moderation.
So what you put in your gob, that's pretty important.
Yes.
It says putting it politely and neatly.
Yes.
Sleep's important.
Sleep is absolutely vital.
Exercise?
Exercise is vital too. We are designed to move. That's why we have joints. Our ancestors used to move. If you look back at some of the old films, you'll see that there were very few overweight people, and that's because people walked. You don't have to be a gym bunny, you don't have to go to the gym, you don't have to necessarily play a sport, although you might find that good fun, but just walk. Go out for a walk, see the countryside, get a dog, borrow a dog if you don't have one, but move. I mean, there are a lot of fitness trackers on the market now. Use those to see how far you are actually moving. And when you move, try and move quickly and try and improve that. I used to do quite a lot of running, not so much recently, but I've started again, and I literally run for a minute, walk for a minute, run for a minute, walk for a minute, and I'd then build that up, run for 2 minutes, walk for 1. And I will get back to the same level of fitness by just building it up.
It sounds like what you're selling, you're selling in inverted commas, is a bit of a lifestyle change as well, which is good. So who are the people that you want to talk to? Who are the people that will benefit talking to Anne Parker?
Okay, I do talk on a one-to-one basis with people who want to, they've either got a health concern that they want to address, or they just want to be, they want a bit more energy, or they want to protect themselves and take control of their own health. More and more, I like to work with companies who want to look after their employees, but mainly people in the health industry and fitness professionals. And I'm also starting to work with antenatal clinics and fertility clinics, because we talked about the microbiome. You get the microbiome from your mother. You initially, so it's the most important organ that we have, but it's actually acquired. We're not born with it. We're born sterile. But you get your microbiome through the vaginal tract, the birth canal, and then from your mother's breast milk. And if your mother doesn't have a healthy microbiome to pass on to you, then you're already starting your life health-wise on the back foot. There's things you can do subsequently, but what mother doesn't want to give their child the best chance in life at an early age? So we try and work with clinics so that parents can improve their own microbiome before they then pass it on to their
What kind of response do you get
unborn
back
child.
from antenatal clinics that you talk to? I mean, what do they say to you?
Well, they're just starting to realise how important the microbiome is, because the microbiome is responsible for all your health systems to a greater or lesser extent. So it controls everything, really. It is the control centre of your body. And a healthy microbiome will protect children in their early years and help them as they get older.
So when you sit there and you're talking to people, just very, very briefly, do you find a lot of people have a moment of revelation when you're talking to them, where they can identify with what you're saying, and then kind of a eureka moment where they step back for a moment and go, actually, this woman is describing the way I am and I have to do something about it? Do you see that?
I do, and we always start a consultation with a lifestyle analysis, which is a tool that's developed by doctors and nutritionists in America. It's just a one-page series of yes and no questions, but then it looks at the answers to those questions give you an insight then into the workings of about 9 different body systems, and you can immediately see where people fall in the poor or average health, or actually that system is working very well, and then you can help. Once you can see that, you can then develop a programme of nutritional supplements for them, which will help those systems first and foremost, and then continue their good health thereafter.
Been a fascinating show so far. More from Anne Parker in just a few moments' time. She's from the Synergy Health Company. Hope you're finding it really interesting today. A bit of a different program. We thought it would be ideal to kick off the new year, because a lot of us are probably going back to work today. We're probably feeling maybe a little bit stressed, maybe just a little bit portly around the middle, maybe an extra half a stone, perhaps, who knows. But, you know, here is an opportunity, and it could be just down to the way that your gut is behaving. Bad gut. Do something about it. Talk to Anne. Don't forget, you can get all of Anne's contact details by going to the show page at businessconnectionslive.com. Can we just thank everybody as well, for that matter, who are regularly going onto our YouTube website, our YouTube page, and joining the community of people that are there. Thank you very much indeed. And also, for the same applies to everyone who's getting involved on LinkedIn. We do try to post regularly on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a funny old platform. It goes up, goes down, goes sideways, goes round and about. But very, very interesting. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. If you want more information about the business that Anne is running, of course, you know, get in touch with her, and you will see very shortly in the description around this particular program that you'll see her contact details as well. That's all to come a little bit later on. Finally, if you are downloading this program on iTunes, well, enjoy it. And it looks like there's going to be some big news around the program as well. Over the next 12 months, you're going to be able to access the program on a number of different platforms. We're very excited, and in different forms as well. So that's all to come a little bit later on. I shall tell you on future programs here on Business Connections Live. You're watching Business Connections Live. We're into the final quarter right now. Anne Parker is my guest. She's from the Synergy Health Company, and we're talking about a range of products that are good for your gut, they're good for your blood pressure, they're good for a whole range of different ailments and things like that. They are a supplement-based program, which is good. I mean, we've got to be very clear that you're not medically qualified,
no.
But supplements is that kind of industry, isn't it?
It is, and I'm very careful. I don't diagnose people. If somebody comes to me and they're not quite sure what their concern is, unless it's just, I just want to have a bit more energy, but if I think at all that they have got something medically concerning, then I always recommend they go and see their doctor and get a diagnosis. I also never advise people to come off any prescribed medication. They often do, but that's a conversation they have themselves with their own doctor. So yes, I talk about helping people and helping their general health.
So it's about helping people and their general health,
yes,
which is absolutely intrinsic, isn't it? Because we all want to be healthy.
Yes.
I don't think there's anybody who wants to be unhealthy.
No.
As a business, then, has it been successful for you? I mean, we were talking before we came on air today, and I'm sure that when you're talking I know you're a member of 4 Networks, 4N.
Yes.
And I'm sure when you're standing up there and you're giving the virtues, you are talking to other people who are doing similar kinds of business. I mean, there will be other network marketing people that will be sitting there.
Yes.
As a business for you, would you recommend it?
I would. I love the company that I work with. I love the products, and I think that's the starting point for me, and I think it'd be the starting point for any sort of business. I love the flexibility. I enjoy being my own boss. I can determine how I promote my products. Yes, I have rules around what I'm allowed to say, because obviously Synergy Worldwide doesn't want me making false claims.
And neither do we, by the way.
No, of course not. And I don't want to do that either. But I wholeheartedly would recommend it. You get rewarded based on the effort that you put in, and particularly in this industry, it is such a privilege to be able to help people. So I can help people while also developing a business, and I can help other people in their businesses.
What kind of support do you get from the Synergy Group? What kind of support will they offer you? Do they offer you training? Is it advice? What kind of support?
Okay, well, I'm very lucky in that my sponsor within the business is a doctor, a GP. So he can't sell to his own patients because that's not allowed, but he helps me. So if somebody does come to me, they've been diagnosed by a doctor, I mean, he's not going to diagnose remotely, but I can say to him, I think this would be a great package for them. What do you think? Also, he helps me with articles and education. I've learnt he's particularly interested in the new science around the microbiome, so he helps me with that sort of thing. We have regular training meetings where we meet other people who do what I do. They are very interesting. It's always interesting to bounce ideas off other people, see what they're doing, see what works for them, see if perhaps you might like to do it yourself. So we get product training and we get business training. So how to run your business, what types of marketing tools are available, and the company does help you with that.
What's been the biggest surprise for you then? What's the biggest learning for you?
I've been absolutely fascinated by all the research into the microbiome, because up until a couple of years ago, I mean, I'd heard of gut health and I'd heard of the concept of a leaky gut, where you literally have holes and your nutrition and your food goes through those gaps in your gut. But I had no idea of how important your microbiome is to your overall and your long-term health. It is the single most important factor, and I genuinely believe that it will be the medical breakthrough of the 21st century.
So talking of which then, so that kind of leads us on to what does the future hold then, both for the products, for your business, and for what you want to do with your business?
Okay. I hope people have, if they've listened to this programme today...
Oh, no, we haven't. We're not there yet. We're not on the summing up yet. We're still in discussion here, but I know, but well done for being prepared for that. But I'm just wondering, what for you then, where do you see it going?
Well, I want to work more and more with other professional businesses who have clients that these products can help. When you help a client with some of these products, they are very grateful and they pass it on and they will tell other people. Some of these, we had testimonials from people and they are life-changing. We've had 2 gentlemen actually get off an operating table who are going to have stents fitted because they've been taking Pro-RG for 6 weeks and their blockage had gone. To the point the surgeon said, I think I've got the wrong patient's notes. And that's amazing that somebody didn't have to have a stent fitted because he had that supplement. I've known a naturopath in Dublin use the products and get somebody's HIV score down to imperceptible. And that is amazing. These are some things perhaps that the medical profession are not yet achieving. Yes, they're anecdotal, and like I say, I don't pretend to cure anybody, but I can help people. Particularly with inflammatory diseases like arthritis. We've had results with people with multiple sclerosis, cholesterol, blood pressure, as we talked about my own situation, and indeed people who've had problems with their guts, with their intestine, with their digestion. We've had life-changing results for people on the Purify programme, and people who have lost considerable amount of weight on it. Even though it isn't actually designed as a weight loss programme, people will lose weight, and they will find out just how fantastic they really are designed to feel, because some people have never felt that. They don't know what it looks like.
Now, I've got to ask you, because we've talked a lot today. Is there anything else you think that would add to what we've talked about today? Is there anything that we've missed out, do you feel, that would be of interest to our viewers?
Well, you've talked about the changes that people can make to their lives. They can be small, simple changes. I totally believe in supplements, although I wouldn't be here talking about them. And one of the main reasons I believe in supplements is because our food is so degraded. It contains a fraction of the nutrition it used to. If you ate a plate of salad just 50 years ago, to get the same level of nutrition today, you would have to eat 47 plates of the same salad. Well, I like salad, but I don't want to eat 47 plates.
No way. I'm not a bunny rabbit, so that's interesting.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, listen, it's been a fascinating insight into what you do. It's a fascinating insight to what you do as far as your business is concerned as well, and how as a whole concept it is working for you, how you've got positive results from it yourself, from prior to actually being involved with it as a business. Yes. And how you've seen a result. I think that's good. And also, it's interesting hearing about the testimonials that have come back as well. Well, now is the moment, now is the time when we're looking for the key takeaways. What I invite you to do, look straight down camera number 4, say who you are and where you're from, and the key takeaways that we should take from today's programme. The airwaves are all yours. Take a breath and away you go.
Thank you. My name's Anne Parker from the Synergy Health Company. If you've listened to this programme here today, what I would like you to go away and think about is how you as an individual can take responsibility for your own health. I genuinely believe that prevention is better than cure. And we are going to be in a situation very soon where nearly half our population is going to be obese, and with that is going to come an awful lot of problems for the National Health Service. And it will not be able to cope. So we are going to have to, whether we want to or not, take some responsibility for our own health. But we are lucky because the science is there, the science is available to us, where we can enjoy elite health, and that is where age does not dictate your ability. And a healthy microbiome is the key to achieving that. You can now decide what age you want to be. You can decide how long you're going to live. And remember, it's not just the years in your life, it's the life in your years. And this isn't my saying, but I do like to say it. Look after your body or you will have nowhere to live.
I like that one. Look at this old wreck that is sitting here, and it's been a fascinating hour. Thank you very much indeed for your time today. Really enjoyed it and found it absolutely fascinating and interesting. Good luck with it. If you are interested in getting in touch with Anne, then please be our guest. Do go to the website. You'll find all her contact details are there. You can also, don't forget, go to the Synergy website as well, and it'll tell you more about their organisation and about some of the products. But really, the thing to do is to find out more about Synergy, the products, and how they can benefit you by talking to Anne Parker. It's as straightforward as that. That wraps up today's programme. Thank you very much indeed for your time and your company today. Who we got coming up on future shows? Well, Kath Lloyd, she's looking at making the change, so we're looking forward to having Kath on the pro. Michelle McMaster, Kit Sung Healing, Colette Lees International Limited, got Penny Haslam coming up. She's got a new book in my briefcase as we speak, Making Yourself Just a Little Bit Famous. She's an award-winning inspirational speaker. We've also got Warren Knight, the professional speaker, on his upcoming book. He's great when it comes to digital marketing. Listen, that wraps up today's show, but from me, Steve Highland, and also Anne Parker, thank you very much for watching. Till we do it again live next Monday at 12 noon. Till then, have a great week. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel.